I'm Wiley Blanchard, and you're watching Great Tech Pros. We're meeting with Ed Fisher, the CEO of Ed Fisher and Associates. Ed is a system engineer by profession with 30 plus years in the IT industry, 6 years as the CEO of Ed Fisher and Associates. He's worked with great companies like Motorola, Nextel, and the Foster Group. Welcome, Ed Fisher.
Thank you, Wiley.
Give us a little bit more information about your background in the IT industry.
I entered into the IT industry many years ago after seeing commercials. At that time, I was a writer. I had just written a poetry book, and I was a starving artist. I wanted to make some money. So I went to school, and I got a degree in computer electronics from a local college here at Olive Harvey. From there, I went into Motorola. I had the pleasure of working on the team to design the very first cellular phone as an engineer. From there, I went into the cellular infrastructure group where we designed cellular systems all over the country and all over the world. After I left Motorola, I went to Nextel to help design the infrastructure, the sales sites that manage all of your cellular phones throughout the Chicagoland area. And from there, I went to the Foster Group where I was the IT manager. Afterwards, I decided to start my own company, which was 6 years ago. I've had the pleasure of working with the organization I work with now, the Healthcare Consortium of Illinois, as well as other smaller accounts. My 30 plus years has spanned in many areas, and I'm proud to say I've enjoyed every minute.
You've had a very fruitful career.
Absolutely.
You've seen a lot of individuals in IT industry.
I've seen a lot of individuals all over the world in IT, yes.
So what type of training have you found to be the most useful for you?
You have to start off with the basics, learning the basics and understanding systems. Therefore, I like to recommend that everyone start off with a basic A+ certification. A+ will teach you the basic concepts of networks and systems. I hesitate to say computers because now you can't tell the difference between a desk computer, a laptop computer, or a phone. It's also a computer. So I say systems. You have to get a basic understanding. And the biggest thing, since I've taught college for over 20 years, and I failed to mention that, Wiley, the biggest thing that I think is you have to learn how to think critically. Once you understand these systems, you have to be able to think your way through it.
So I'm a new prospect student.
Yes.
I want to break into the industry. I want to take A+. I want to get A+ certified.
Mm-hmm.
What are my options? Where can I go get that?
The options are very good, and there are a number of schools that will give you that opportunity. You can go to your junior college, which focuses on the academic side of IT, which is good, but you must have your hands-on side as well. And that's the problem with learning A+ at this point. You're either going to get a lot of hands-on or you're going to get a lot of classroom training. So I would recommend you go to a small school where you have small classrooms and you guys are constantly breaking things and repairing them and going out in the field. So I would say a good small institution that exemplifies hands-on activities on a regular basis, as well as the classroom setting so that you can get the basic understanding of computers, but then applying that understanding while you're repairing computers and putting in basic networking systems.
So I now have my A+ certification.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many career options out there.
Absolutely.
So many different directions I can go in.
Absolutely.
What, in addition to a systems engineer, what do you think are my best options? What careers can I get into?
Well, while I was teaching college, one of the things that I prided myself on doing is as we discussed each subject, we talked about the career opportunities in those subjects. For instance, as we were talking about service, I talked to them about career opportunities in being a server engineer. As we touched on some security, we talked a lot of opportunities about being security engineers, getting your Security Plus certification, learning Java and things of that nature. We also had some computer forensics classes. So at that point, I talked about ethical hacking. So while you're going through these classes, you're going to be confronted with opportunities. And I would recommend that instructor that's teaching you give you the opportunity to think about it, do a little bit of research on it. So by the time you get your A+, you know what your next steps are going to be. Understanding that A+ is just the first step into the IT arena. And it's a good place to be, but I don't recommend you stay there. So from here and based on other opportunities you go into, you can go into Cisco, you can go into security, you can go into forensics, you can go into database, you can go into SharePoint, you can go into virtualization. So there are many areas that you can go into.
Let's say I want to follow your footsteps.
Okay.
In the industry, there are a lot of companies that are offering certifications in networking and systems engineering. What key certifications or are there any degrees specialized degrees or certifications that you think are prominent after A plus or for
Okay.
network or system engineering?
If I had my druthers, everyone would get their bachelor's degree. I think nothing substitute a good, solid core education like
Okay.
a bachelor's degree. And then you move into your areas of specialization. Your areas of specializations are dictated by you as an individual. When I first came into computers, we had to take a test to determine whether or not we were hardware or software. And that's where I found out that a software person did puzzles and he sat down and he worked things out in his mind, but mainly he sat down. That was the thing that turned me off from being a software engineer. I didn't want to sit down. So I chose being a hardware engineer, a systems engineer, just based on that. Nowadays, they merge the two together during your training, but it's hard for me to say what someone should do. That's an individual decision for them because there are some core questions that has to be answered. For instance, what are some of the things that you like to do that's aligned with the job or the career path that you're planning on going into? And so we have to do a match there. You know, if you do like to sit down, and if you do like to work puzzles, then obviously I would say that you should go and be a software engineer, a Java developer, or something like that. But if you're the kind of guy that like to be outside, that like to get his hands dirty, I would recommend you go into field engineering. And in field engineering, that area expands exponentially in terms of what you can do, but it's all technical. So it's based on an individual preference on what you want to do for the rest of your life. So I really can't answer that for other people other than myself.
Okay. There's so many different options that one can take.
Mhm.
And I want to get your thought on different employment opportunities. There's full-time,
Mm-hmm.
there's contract work,
Mm-hmm.
um, there's self-employment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what do you recommend
I recommend that you do it in steps.
in steps?
The first thing you have to do is get that good core solid background, which means that you go to a job, you get a full-time job, and you learn your technology. You have to learn it. You have to go out in the field. You got to get burnt. You got to be in front of customers and learn how to deal and treat with your customers. Unfortunately, you have to be cursed out.
Okay.
Unfortunately, you have to be with people that's going to be very rude to you, but you have to learn how to deal with your customer base.
That's all we had time for in this session with Ed Fisher, CEO of Ed Fisher and Associates. We'd like to thank him for taking time out of his schedule to meet with us. We'd like to thank you for taking time to tune in. Once again, I'm Wiley Blanchard, and this is Great Tech Pros.